Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Surah Duha. Central theme and relationship with preceding and succeeding surahs. This surah, along with the succeeding one, Alam Nashra, form a pair. In both these surahs, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is assured that he will succeed in the mission he has been entrusted with by the Almighty. All the hardships he is now facing will come to an end. This subject is also discussed in previous surahs. However, it is discussed in a subsidiary manner. In these two surahs, it is discussed as the primary subject. It is as if in the backdrop of both these surahs, all the phases of the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ are brought before him. The style of assurance adopted in both surahs reflect their period of revelation. It is evident from Surah Duha that it was revealed in that part of the Meccan period in which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was facing intense opposition. So intense was it that he became dejected at not seeing room for any progress of his mission. On the other hand, it is evident from Surah Alam Nashra that it was revealed in the period when, in spite of strong opposition, some signs of success had started to manifest. Analysis of the surah. Following is the sequence of the discourse of the surah. Initially, signs in the world around man are cited to show that just as for the material development of this world, the heat and light of the day are needed, and so are the coldness and darkness of the night. Similarly, for the development of hidden potentials in a person, it is essential to make him pass through both ease and difficulty and sorrow and happiness. People who understand the importance of such trials for their training and instruction and also benefit from them develop their latent qualities through them, and those who do not know how to come to grips with such circumstances, or because of their feeble and frail nature do not take advantage of these circumstances which have been ordained for them, deprive themselves of this high place which no one can achieve unless he passes his test. After a delineation of this principle, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is addressed and given assurance that the trial he is passing through is not because the Almighty has no concern for him or because he is angry with him. It is part of the greater trial which is essential for the moral development of a person. He is then given glad tidings of the fact that the period through which he is currently passing is a prelude to better times in which his gracious Lord will bless him with success which will make him happy. After this, an indication is made of some of the phases of his life which occurred before prophethood or occurred in its beginning, which were apparently tough and from which the Almighty led him out. Such was this divine help that the whole world became accessible to him, and he was also blessed spiritually. At the end, he is guided to fulfill the obligations towards these favors bestowed on him. This is also a passing comment on people who have been mentioned in previous surahs who, after being blessed with favors, became proud and usurped the rights of God's creatures. Text of the surah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ.
Translation of the surah. In the name of God, the most gracious, the ever merciful. The time of mid-morning bears witness, and the night when it becomes still, that your Lord has neither abandoned you, nor is he displeased with you. And the coming time shall be better for you than the previous one. And your Lord will give you such that you shall be pleased. Did he not find you an orphan and gave you shelter, and found you wandering and guided you, and found you in need and enriched you? So do not suppress the orphan, and do not scold the one who asks, and proclaim the favor of your Lord. Explanation of the surah. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. The time of mid-morning bears witness, and the night when it becomes still. Ad-Duha refers to the time of mid-morning when people begin their daily routines and after resting the whole night start their day with a new vigor. The Qur'an has presented the night as an evidence on various aspects depending upon the context, as is evident from this tafsir. Here the words Iza Saja qualify it. The word Saja means to become stationary and to come to a standstill. This shows that that part of the night is implied here which becomes still and silent from the noise and clatter of the day and of the early part of the night and is able to provide comfort to man. In other words, in contrast to the part of the day which is referred to by the words Ad-Duha, the words Wal-Layli Iza Saja refer to the corresponding part of the night. A little deliberation shows that the day and the night are totally different from one another with regard to their outlook, nature, and the effects they produce. However, despite this difference, man needs both, and this world, in its collective capacity, also needs both the night and the day for its sustenance. It is God's great mercy that He created the night with the day and the day with the night, and both work in complement to each other to keep this world in existence. The Qur'an is referred to this complementary nature of day and night at various instances. Thus, for example, the words at one place are هُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ لِتَسْكُنُوا فِيهِ وَالنَّهَارَ مُبْصِرًا. He it is who has made the night dark for you so that you receive comfort in it, and made the day bright. Surah number 10, verse 67. At another place the words are وَمِن رَحْمَتِهِ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ لِتَسْكُنُوا فِيهِ وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And of His mercy is that He has made the night and the day so that you can receive comfort in the night and seek His bounty in the day so that you become grateful to Him. Surah number 28, verse 73. مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. That your Lord has neither abandoned you nor is He displeased with you. It is to validate this premise that oaths are sworn by various phenomena of the physical world in the previous verses. The implication is that just as in this world the heat and light of the sun are essential, and so are the darkness and stillness of the night, in a similar manner the trials of happiness and sorrow, ease and difficulty, affluence and poverty are essential for the spiritual and moral development of man. It is through these circumstances that the Almighty tests a person whether he becomes thankful in good times and patient in hard ones. In other words, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is assured that if at that time he was facing stiff opposition and had little following and meager resources, and divine guidance and revelation were also not to his satisfaction, then this does not mean that his Lord had abandoned him or was displeased with him. These circumstances are a trial and test to train and instruct him in order to fully prepare him to bear his responsibilities. All this content which is sounding assurance to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is implied in this verse. This content is also evident from the previous verse and the succeeding ones, as well as the next surah also. However, to give due consideration to brevity in the complement of oath or muqsamale, only that part of the assurance is found mentioned which the Prophet needed the most at that time. He has been assured that the circumstances he was facing at that time do not relate to the fact that the Almighty had become indifferent to him or was unhappy with him. He was facing these trying circumstances in accordance with the practice and law of the Almighty regarding training and instruction. It should be kept in consideration that in the Meccan period, when the opposition from the Quraysh became pronounced, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ became worried that perhaps some of his own errors or strategic mistakes might have caused this augmentation in their animosity. This might have made the Almighty angry as a result, and he was facing these trying circumstances as a wrath of God. This feeling, of course, was very burdensome, as is evident from the following verse of the next surah. وَوَضَعْنَا أَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ الَّذِي أَنْقَضَ ظَهْرَكَ. Or, and relieved you of the burden which weighed your back. Surah number 94, verses 2 and 3. Quite naturally, he would wait anxiously for divine revelation in this state of worry, because it was the only thing which could show him light, and it was through it that he could estimate whether he was fulfilling his obligation of preaching to the satisfaction of the Almighty, or if something was amiss in discharging this duty, or if he was committing some strategic mistake in this matter. As far as the time of revelation is concerned, it is based entirely on the wisdom of the Almighty. It is not necessary that a revelation descend when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is worried or anxious. Consequently, in such circumstances, his worries would naturally double while waiting for a revelation. This worry of the Prophet has been mentioned in many places in the Meccan surahs, and we have been referring to it. Those who would like to know the details should look up the tafsirs of Surah Duha and Surah Qiyamah. The assurance sounded in these verses relate to the circumstances just mentioned. It is not necessary that this verse had been revealed in response to the taunt of the disbelievers that the Lord of this person had forsaken him. When in the first place did the disbelievers accept the fact that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ or the message he preached had something to do with God and that he would send revelations to him? They would regard the Prophet to be a poet and a soothsayer. Moreover, only the Prophet experienced the coming of a revelation or the lack of it. How would the disbelievers have known whether the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would be receiving a revelation or a break had occurred in it? As far as preaching and propagation are concerned, not for a day did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ desist from them. How could then the disbelievers have taunted him that he no longer was serving the Almighty in the capacity of a messenger, or that the Almighty had forsaken him? وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى, and the coming period shall be better for you than the previous one. Here the words akhirah and ula do not refer to the terms the hereafter and the herein respectively. They are general in their connotation. They refer to the initial or later period of the preaching mission or to its present and future state. This verse is an explanation of the assurance sounded by the previous verse. The current circumstances will soon change, and the future will be better than the past and the present. These glad tidings of a better future are given by the Qur'an both openly and tacitly at many places. In the ancient scriptures also, the predictions which are mentioned about his advent cite the parable that the beginning of his preaching would resemble a mustard seed, which indeed is very small, but outgrows all other vegetable plants when it sprouts, so much so that birds build their nests on it. The glad tidings sounded by the word khair are comprehensive in nature. It gathers in it the aspects of supremacy and victory of Islam, the conquest of Mecca, humiliation of the enemies, and people entering the folds of Islam in multitudes. All these aspects are mentioned in the previous surahs. The next surah also alludes to them, and they will also be found in Surah Nasr.